The Browns were somehow able to get Dawand Jones in the fourth round of last year's draft, one of the biggest offensive linemen in NFL history. He was forced into the lineup in week 1 after Jack Conklin tore his ACL, and he's been one of the best rookie offensive tackles through the first half of the season. On 237 pass blocking snaps, he's only allowed 10 pressures and 1 sack, and the sack wasn't even him getting beat. He had a miscommunication with the running back picking up a blitz. There are some limitations as a run blocker, but he's still made a lot of impact blocks, and I think most people would agree that holding up in pass pro is what's most important. We'll see how many times I can use the word length in this video, but that's really the first thing you've got to talk about. There have only been 5 offensive linemen in combine history with longer arms than Dawand Jones at 36 and 3/8 inches. He has almost an 88-inch wingspan, about the size of Victor Wembanyama, which ranks 2nd in combine history, and he has the 3rd largest hands of any offensive lineman at 11 and 5/8. Now, these measurables alone are not going to make you a good blocker. Every year in the draft, we see a few offensive tackles with 36-inch arms that go undrafted or in the late rounds and never really pan out, because having long arms is pointless if you don't know what you're doing with your hands. I think back to players like Matt Waletzko, LaRaven Clark, where they have elite arm length, but they were inaccurate with their punch, their hands were always outside on the shoulder pads, and their timing was way off, and there's kind of a point of diminishing returns with arm length if you don't have the technique to match it. But Dawand Jones has really good hand placement, he's a technically polished pass blocker, so he's one of the few players that can actually get the most out of his enormous frame. This first play is kind of the standard Dawand Jones pass blocking rep. He's lined up on Sam Hubbard, he lands his punch, locks his arms. At this point in the play, there's really nothing Hubbard can do. If he fully extended his arms, he probably wouldn't even touch Dawand Jones' jersey, and Jones just maintains that extension, widens him out of the pocket. Right here, he's lined up on Nick Bosa. He had a lot of true one-on-one reps against Bosa and TJ Watt. Bosa's going to use this forklift technique, which he uses pretty often, where he grabs the blocker's wrist, raises his arms, and tries to get him off balance. But this is an example where it's useful to have big hands, because Dawand Jones just clamps that forklift, continues to slide his feet, and the rush goes nowhere. And he's had a lot of success so far on quick sets and jump sets where he's initiating contact with the pass rusher. A lot of pass rushing, pass blocking interactions come down to who establishes first meaningful contact, and when you have the reach of someone like Dawand Jones and you can land your punch first, you can pretty much shut down the pass rush before it even starts. But he also has really good patience with his hand usage, especially on vertical sets. Right here, Justin Madubuike is going to use the ghost technique, where you flash a hand, try to draw out the punch from the offensive tackle, but Jones doesn't fall for the bait. He doesn't need to overextend. He just waits for Madubuike to engage with his frame, drops his anchor, and seals him off. On this play, Kyle Van Noy is going to use the same move, where he flashes the inside hand, tries to bait out a reaction, and then bends around the corner. But again, Jones is patient. Based on how far away he is from the pass rusher, there's no need for him to punch once he sees that first move. You can see he kind of pulls his hands back. Once Van Noy brings his arm back down, then he lands his punch. He does kind of click his heels sometimes at the top of his set instead of continuing to shuffle and wall off the speed rush, and that gives Van Noy somewhat of a corner to get a hand on the quarterback. But this is another area where arm length is so important. He can stay attached to the block. Even if he isn't in great position with his feet, he can continue to flush him out and give his quarterback a chance. And then another rep against Sam Hubbard here. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell if they're purposely using a ghost move or if they just miss with their hands. But either way, you can see Hubbard goes in with this double swipe. Dawand Jones pulls back to protect his hands, and then on the down motion of Hubbard's move with his hands moving away from the block, that's when Dawand Jones lands his punch. He's also surprisingly just shut down against speed rushes, and that goes back to his Ohio State tape. It's so impressive to see someone of this size be able to protect the corner so consistently. A lot of that again has to do with strike timing and being able to physically disrupt the speed rush and stall their acceleration, but he also has really good movement skills and pocket range for someone of his size. Right here, he's blocking Jadeveon Clowney. He's going to try to use a cross chop to defeat the outside hand. Dawand Jones punches with the outside hand. The cross chop kind of knocks it down a little bit, but he's able to sustain that punch and then redirect his momentum back to the end zone and drive Clowney out of the pocket. Right here, he's got Clowney with a really wide alignment. He's going to jump set, bring the fight to him. Clowney rips through that two-hand strike, but then he's able to redirect, mirror him around the corner, and he does just enough at the end of the rep to clear him out of the pocket. So Dawand Jones is great with his hand placement. He's able to mirror speed rushes around the corner. The one thing he did struggle with at times at Ohio State is dealing with inside counters. He has quick feet for his size, but there were still times in college where he struggled changing directions and keeping up with inside movement. But so far in the NFL, that hasn't been an issue. Right here, Nick Bosa is slanting in through the B gap. If this was just a foot race between him and Nick Bosa, Bosa would probably win. But as he's sliding his feet, you can see he's continuing to punch and replace. So that way he's establishing hand contact, but he's also slowing Nick Bosa down, preventing him from accelerating. And then once he gets to the top of the rush, again, he has that length to just finish the block, clear him out of the way. Right here, the Steelers are running an ET stunt. They don't do a great job executing it. TJ Watt tries to spin inside through this B gap and he gets slowed down by the guard. But again, you see Dawand Jones, just this extra few inches of arm length is enough to finish the block and drive him into the ground. If you're enjoying the video, make sure to subscribe and leave a like, and also follow us on all of our social medias. The links to those are in the description. And then as you'd probably expect, there's not a very high success rate trying to use power rushes against Dawand Jones. Most bull rushes and speed to power pretty much die instantly once he makes contact. As long as he gets that inside hand placement, just purely based off mass and frame, there's not a whole lot that pass rushers can do. He did lose to power one time. Kyle Van Noy's able to get him with a bull rush here, and the main problem here is hand placement. You can see this inside hands on the shoulder pad instead of the chest plate, and that doesn't give him a great leverage point to drop his anchor. But outside of that rep, he's pretty much pitched a shutout against power. Another way of combating rushes straight down the middle is using the snatch trap technique. When a pass rusher tries to use a bull rush or a long arm, they're going to be leaning their weight displacement forward, and the snatch trap is a way of taking advantage of that, releasing contact, slamming him down by the arms or the collar. Right here, TJ Watt tries to cross chop Dawand Jones. He actually beats this outside arm, but Jones does a great job replacing his punch. And then at the top of the rush, he starts to lean forward to try to power through and bend around the corner, and at that point, Jones just slams him down on his face. On this play against the Colts, they're running a stunt. He gets this looper coming around the edge. He tries to initiate contact with the long arm, but Jones immediately traps that down and ends the rush. The run blocking has been a lot more of a mixed bag, but I still think he's shown plenty of flashes, and there's definitely some ways that you can get him involved in that phase. He's been at his best at the second level, blocking linebackers and DBs. Right here, the Browns are running a slip screen to David Njoku. The linebacker tries to lever this block from the outside, but Jones is able to reach his aiming point, clear him out of the way, open up space for a touchdown. This is another play where you really see the difference that just a few inches of arm length can make. The Browns are pulling both guards, and then Dawand Jones has a block on Fred Warner down at the second level. Warner reads the play, tries to undercut the block, but Jones is able to make just enough contact to slow him down, and Jerome Ford's able to break the arm tackle. Right here, the Browns are running a double reverse. All that action in the backfield gives Dawand Jones enough time to get all the way downfield. He has enough short area quickness to mirror this DB as he's trying to maneuver around the block, and then basically anytime he makes contact with a DB, he just melts them into the ground. Here's another play where you just see his impact blocking ability. Zaire Franklin isn't looking for him coming to the second level when he gets an easy pancake. Right here, the Browns are running outside zone. He helps out David Njoku on this base block on the defensive end. You can see just one punch is enough to widen him out 3 or 4 yards. Then he climbs downfield, blocks the nickel, displaces him about 3 yards, and then he tries to work upfield to the safety, but the defense closes in. So he doesn't have great short area explosiveness, but he has enough speed to get downfield on pin pulls, sweep, tosses, that kind of stuff. And if it's just one-on-one at the point of contact and you're trying to do the momentum formula against Dawand Jones, defenders do not have much of a chance at all. We haven't seen him as much on straight up down blocks and double teams where you're just purely trying to create as much displacement as possible, but on the front side of outside zone where he's trying to widen out the defensive end, or if you just get like a one-on-one situation in the goal line, he has pretty much a 100% success rate. The main areas he's struggled with in run blocking are sustaining reach blocks and beating defensive linemen to their aiming point. On reach blocks, he really struggles to redirect his weight and secure that play side shoulder. He just doesn't have great flexibility to contort his body and shade over the defensive lineman. And there were also a couple times he lost to inside movement. Right here, the Browns are running outside zone lead. The defensive end slanting inside, but Dawand Jones' first step is going to be lateral to the play side. And I don't know if he thought the fullback was going to pick him up here. It looks like he's kind of late to redirect and recover. But again, he just doesn't have that short area explosiveness to change directions that quickly. Dawand Jones is looking like someone that should not have lasted to the 4th round. I had him as a top 32 player. I know a lot of other draft analysts did, and pretty much everyone had him somewhere in the top 50, top 60. There were some concerns I know about keeping his weight and stuff like that, so my guess is that's why he fell. I don't think there was anything on tape that should have had him fall out of the top 50, but great job by the Browns to find value here, and they ended up really needing it with Jack Conklin's injury. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, let me know in the comments any NFL players or teams that you'd like me to cover.